Okay, test. Okay, everybody, can you hear me okay out there? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started for the Procedures and Management Committee tonight, Thursday, November 20th, 2025. It's 5:30 p.m. With us to roll call tonight is Justice Travis Hobson, Justice John Reed, Justice Tommy Dorsey, myself, Justice Van Valkenburg, and Justice Tommy Johnson is out sick tonight. So there'll be four of us. I'd like to remind everybody this is a public meeting. And first off, the judge wanted a few words to speak. He has to leave to go to another engagement, but he wanted to speak at the beginning of the meeting.
Thank you, sir. I do have conflicting schedules. If you know me, you know that I'm an advocate for the agricultural state of Marion County, and I missed all of the cattlemen's associations, things we've been doing here in the county. They got a banquet tonight, but I wanted to be here at the very beginning to say that we allowed the 1/2-cent sales tax for the sheriff's office to be on the ballot. So I'm very much an advocate and 100% want this to be on the ballot as well. I want you all to know where I stood with that. I want to give people a choice with how many people are compassionate about this and the passion for the community center. I believe that it shouldn't be stopped by the quorum courts or myself. That should be able to be put on the ballot in March so that people have a vote. And I wanted you to hear that from me before I had to go to the next event. So thank you for your time and thank you for how you guys showed up. I've got Sarah Giamo and Sam here tonight to help with all of the legal questions. And it should be good to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. So everybody realizes what the purpose of this meeting is. This meeting is to review the verbiage of the ordinances that are going to be either passed on or not passed on to the quorum court. And that would be on Tuesday, December 9th. Okay, so we're going to go through, there's 3 things to read tonight. And we're going to start with the first one. Can I have a motion to read by title only?
Motion. Second.
Okay. First ordinance. An ordinance calling for a special election in Marion County, Arkansas on the question of issuing bonds under the amendment number 62 to the Constitution of the state of Arkansas for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of the new park and recreation facilities, levying a new 1/2-cent sales tax used for the purpose of retiring such bonds and prescribing other matters pertaining hereto. Actually, I read the wrong one first. This is my first rodeo doing this. I've been on the sideline seeing, but so I screwed up. Okay. Okay. The first one is an ordinance providing for the levy of a 1/4 of 1% sales tax for within Marion County, Arkansas, and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. I have a motion.
Motion. Second.
Discussion.
Yes. Question.
Justice Reed.
We have our attorney here. Miss Sarah. This is a new type of ordinance for me.
Okay.
I was always under the impression that the voters approved a tax issue that was the same thing as levying the tax. Evidently, that's not correct.
So there are 3 ordinances that are before you. And with the 1/4-cent tax, there's an ordinance levying the tax, and then there's an ordinance calling an election on the tax.
The question then becomes,
It's done that way because pursuant to state law. That's how the state statute
we have to
requires.
levy it before it goes to the voters?
Well, if you'll look at Article 4 on the 2nd page of the first ordinance.
Yes, ma'am.
So this ordinance shall not take effect until an election is held on the question of levying the sales and use tax.
If we didn't have Article 4, then this ordinance should be tabled after that's effective.
No.
No, it's a.
No, you adopt the ordinance levying the tax, and then you submit it to the voters for them to approve.
So that's structurally sound.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Make it a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Second ordinance, an ordinance calling on a special election in Marion County, Arkansas of the question of levying a countywide 1/4% sales tax and use tax and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. Motion,
Motion.
second,
Second.
discussion. Mrs. Reed?
I will have a question. Okay, this 0.25 is for the purpose is as defined, right?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but in the next one, we also have a 0.25 that's for,
No, this is the same 0.25.
okay, then we have a problem because both the ordinance say if there's a conflict, one of the two is repealed.
No,
There is a conflict.
no. So this tax is separate from the half-cent tax. So this tax can be used for three things. So that's operation and maintenance of the new community center, payment of debt service on the bonds, and then for general county purposes. The half-cent tax can only be used to pay debt service on the bonds. The ballot language for the half-cent tax and the ordinance itself for the half-cent tax talks about that you can also, if separately passed, the quarter-cent tax can be pledged to the payment of bonds. That has to be, both of these things have to be approved by the voters for that all to work together. But if for some reason, and I can go through the different scenarios, but if for some reason, the quarter-cent is passed and the half-cent isn't, those are the ways you could use that tax.
Happened before.
Yes, yes, it has, specifically in Marion County, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
The one concern I have, and maybe you just explained it, is in the next ordinance, the half-cent, we talk about the securing, that 0.25 is for securing the bonds if necessary.
That's
right?
correct, yes.
But over here on this one, the 0.25 is talking about improvement, construction.
Yes,
That's two different things.
yes. That's why there's three different purposes for which the quarter-cent tax can be used. So the quarter-cent tax is a permanent tax, and how it would work, assuming that everything got passed by the voters, so the quarter-cent and the half-cent, and you issue the bonds, the way that it would work is that you would have a trustee bank for your bonds. The trustee would receive collections of the half-cent and the quarter-cent, make debt service payments, and then to the extent that there's excess collections of the quarter-cent, that would go back to the county to be used to operate and maintain the community center. Does that make sense?
What would be the cycle?
Go ahead.
What would be the cycle where extra would be determined?
So that's determined by your debt service payments, and that would be structured by, your underwriting firm.
On an
And
annual basis or monthly basis?
it's usually a principal payment is made annually and interest payments are made twice a year, every 6 months.
Okay.
And so the way that they would typically structure it, and I don't have numbers in front of me, so I don't know, but the way that it's typically structured is based on collections of the half-cent tax. So that if there's any extra, the half-cent tax can only be used to pay debt service. So ideally, you would have extra collections of the half-cent tax, and that could be used to pay down your bonds early. And you would get all of the collections of the quarter-cent tax to be used for operation and maintenance of the community center. It's extra coverage for your
But
bondholders.
the half-cent covers the bond principal and interest
Mm-hmm,
on that year.
mm-hmm.
The 1/4% would not be invoked. Or
That's exactly
it would be
correct,
there,
yeah.
But it would not be used.
That's exactly
It would then
right.
Overflow to construction and.
Yes.
and that's all.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes, sir.
For discussion? Okay.
May I make one other comment?
Sure,
We're voting to refer this to court.
Correct.
We're not voting to approve the ordinance.
Correct. This is only to pass the ordinances on to the quorum court, the
Right.
next quorum court. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed on. Third one. An ordinance calling on a special election in Marion County, Arkansas to the question of issuing bonds under the amendment number 62 to the Constitution of the State of Arkansas for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of the new park and recreation facilities, levying a new half-cent sales and use tax for the purpose of retiring such bonds and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Sarah,
Yes, sir.
I'm a little concerned about in the language. Okay?
Mhm.
The title of the language. In the language, we talk about a 0.5% and we talk about a 0.25%, but the title only says 0.5.
Right.
It is my expressed opinion that the title should say 0.75.
No, that would not be correct because you're only levying a half-cent tax under the authorizing legislation, which
Okay, because we levied, we did the.
that's
other
right.
way.
So
Okay.
so this is saying the last couple sentences here in this paragraph are talking about if that quarter cent is separately approved by the voters, it can also be pledged to the payment of the bonds. And so it's really important that we include that as security, but for this particular ordinance, you're only levying a half-cent.
Scenario, the 0.25% fails.
Mhm.
What does that mean to this ordinance?
That means if the quarter cent fails and the half-cent passes and the bond, you go ahead with issuing the bonds, more than likely the scope of the project will have to be scaled back because your bondholders won't have the same coverage. You also won't have any funds for no sales tax funds for the operation and maintenance of the community center.
Yes.
Scaling back would be a concern because the voters just said they approved 16.5 million.
Right. That's a not to exceed number. So that's a maximum principal amount.
Should that be in the language? Not to exceed?
That's why it says maximum aggregate principal amount. So that's
Oh,
the
it is.
most.
It is. I
Yes,
see
sir.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Would there be, I'm sorry, would there be additional actions for the court to take if the 0.25 fails?
You could go back to the voters at a subsequent election with the quarter cent tax.
To readdress it?
Yes,
Okay.
but it would not be used to secure the bonds unless you waited for some reason.
In the language, it specifically states that it is not dependent on, the bond issue is not dependent on the 0.25.
That's correct. Yes. So you can still choose to issue the bonds
Without the
even if
0.25.
the quarter cent doesn't pass. That's correct.
It just may take longer for the bonds to mature.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. I may have other questions, or I may retain the right to ask exactly the same questions again at court, okay?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Okay. For this ordinance, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. So all three ordinances will be passed on to the quorum court in the December meeting. If we have nothing else, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on such a beautiful night.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
There's a lot of blue out there.